There are moments in life when we don't simply make a decision. We cross a threshold. Sometimes it looks ordinary from the outside. No dramatic announcement, no sudden transformation, no clear evidence that everything has changed. And yet, something inside us knows. We are no longer standing where we once stood. A truth has landed. An old agreement has loosened. A pattern has become too visible to ignore. A version of ourselves that once kept us safe can no longer lead the way forward. This is the sacred territory of the threshold. It is the space between who we have been and who we are becoming. And while it can feel beautiful, powerful, and alive, it can also feel tender, disorienting, and uncertain. Because crossing a threshold is not only about stepping into something new, it is also about honoring what we are leaving behind. Many people imagine transformation as something bold and obvious. We think we will know exactly when we are ready. We think clarity will arrive fully formed. We think the next step will feel certain. But often, the threshold comes quietly. It may arrive as a deep inner knowing that you cannot keep abandoning yourself in the same way. It may come after a season of grief, healing, exhaustion, awakening, or honest self-reflection. It may arrive after years of trying to make something work that your soul has already outgrown. It may come when you finally hear yourself say, "I cannot keep living from this old place." Not with anger, not with blame, not with force, but with truth. A quiet, steady truth that rises from somewhere deeper than the mind. This is often how the threshold begins, not as a leap, as a recognition. Before we cross a threshold, there is usually a period of friction. The old way still exists, but it no longer fits. The roles we played begin to feel too small, and coping mechanisms lose their power. The patterns that once felt normal begin to feel heavy. The relationships, routines, beliefs, or identities we built around survival start asking to be re-examined. This does not mean everything must be destroyed. It does not mean we need to rush, rebel, or make sudden external changes before we are grounded. But it does mean something inside us is asking for honesty. Sometimes the threshold is not about leaving a person, place, or situation. Sometimes the threshold is internal. We stop betraying ourselves. We stop minimizing what we know. We stop calling our intuition too much. We stop waiting for permission to become who we already are. That inner crossing may eventually reshape the outer world, but first, it changes the relationship we have with ourselves. Crossing a threshold can feel surprisingly vulnerable. Even when the change is right, even when the soul says yes, even when we know we cannot go back, there may still be grief. Grief for the version of us who tried so hard. Grief for the years spent adapting. Grief for the relationships or identities that cannot come with us in the same way. Grief for the illusion that things could remain familiar and still become fully alive. This grief is not a sign that we are making the wrong choice. It may simply mean we are human. Thresholds ask us to hold many things at once. Relief and sadness, clarity and uncertainty, excitement and fear, faith and trembling. This is why threshold work must be approached with tenderness. We are not machines upgrading to a new version. We are living beings shedding, remembering, integrating, and becoming. One of the most powerful signs that we are at a threshold is this. We may not know exactly what comes next, but we know we cannot return to unconsciousness. We cannot unknow the truth that has been revealed. We cannot unknow the body's wisdom. We cannot unknow the pattern we have finally seen. We cannot unknow the inner voice that has grown stronger. We cannot unknow the part of us that is ready to live differently. This is often where people feel stuck, not because they are unwilling, but because they are between worlds. The old identity has loosened, but the new one has not fully formed. The old patterns are visible, but the new practices are not yet embodied. The desire for change is real, but the nervous system may still be learning how to feel safe with expansion. This is the threshold space. This is not failure, it is a passage. Insight is powerful, but insight alone is not always enough. We can understand something mentally and still struggle to live from it. We can have a breakthrough and still find ourselves pulled back into old patterns. We can receive guidance, clarity, or spiritual confirmation and still need time to integrate it into the body, the nervous system, the daily choices, and the way we relate to ourselves. Crossing the threshold is not just about seeing the doorway. It is about learning how to walk through it with presence. This may involve reflection. It may involve journaling. It may involve meditation. It may involve body awareness. It may involve emotional release. It may involve honest conversations, boundary work, grief work, nervous system support, or spiritual practice. Most of all, it involves compassion, because the parts of us that hesitate are not trying to sabotage us. They're usually trying to protect us. They need to know we are not abandoning them as we grow. You may be standing at a threshold if you find yourself asking, what am I no longer willing to carry? What truth have I been quietly avoiding? What part of me is ready to be acknowledged? What old role or identity feels complete? What does my body already know? What would change if I trusted the wisdom that has been rising within me? You do not need to answer these questions quickly. Let them breathe. Let them move through the body. Let them meet you where you are. Sometimes the threshold is crossed in one bold step, but often it is crossed through many small acts of self-honesty. One breath, one choice, one boundary, one release, one moment of returning to yourself. Crossing the threshold is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself. The self beneath the conditioning. The self beneath the survival strategies. The self beneath the inherited expectations. The self beneath the fear of disappointing others. The self that has been waiting patiently for you to listen. There is a quiet power in this kind of becoming. It does not need to be loud. It does not need to be rushed. It does not need to be explained to everyone. Some crossings are sacred because they happen first within. And when they are honored, supported, and integrated, they begin to reshape the way we live. If this reflection speaks to something you are living through, you may be standing at your own threshold. You may be in a space between an old way of being and a new one that has not yet fully taken shape. You may sense that something within you is ready to be witnessed, released, reclaimed, or embodied. This is the heart of crossing the threshold. It is an online offering created to support the inner passage from realization to integration, from knowing something has shifted to learning how to live from that shift with more clarity, compassion, and grounded presence. This is not about forcing change. This is about honoring the moment when your inner life is asking to become more real. When you're ready, you're invited to step through the doorway. If this reflection speaks to the season you are in, I created a self-paced online experience called Crossing the Threshold, a sacred pause for completion and orientation. This is a gentle ritual space for honoring what has been, releasing what has completed itself, and orienting toward what is emerging without pressure, urgency, or forced reinvention. You can move through it in your own rhythm and return to it whenever life brings you to a meaningful doorway. The link is in the description. Take your time, arrive gently, cross when you're ready.